So I've had an entirely different experience. I've never worked for large corporations that are, obviously you're inside of a corporation right now that is a multi-billion-dollar market cap.
Right.
Clearly, I mean, I've owned all the businesses I've worked in or had equity in them, and the last I checked, I'm not a billionaire. So I have just an entirely different experience where I think the meetings were some of the best things we had done. They were, albeit scrappier, but I think it's one of the culture things that we nailed early on, and it really helped us. I can genuinely tell you that our team would say the meeting was arguably the best part of their day, depending on which meeting it was and at what point. But there were three things that we had identified, and I was kind of listening to the things you were sharing about the meetings and making sure, like, is there something he mentioned that doesn't fall into a bucket? And I still think these three buckets are comprehensive, but I'd be curious to know if you think anything's missed on this. The first one is, like you mentioned, the information. And I do think this is where bad meetings overfocus on this, where there's just information dumps. Because that's generally speaking the definition of this could have been an email.
Yep.
But if you're just going to vomit information on me, put it in writing and don't waste my time, please.
Yeah.
I think the second thing is an element of coaching, getting feedback, sharing feedback, helping each other along the way. And that's best when that coaching is collaborative. I've been inside of meetings where there is someone that's in there coaching, and maybe that person does have more knowledge, more expertise. But if you allow it to become a collaborative coaching experience where everyone's helping everyone, that is a great place to be. And to be fair, a lot of the meetings I've been inside of are sales related meetings. I think it's easier to nail those, truthfully, because it's generally a more collaborative group of people. You're going to get more extroverts. You're going to get more energy. It's just a different experience. The third kind of bucket, I think, for these meetings that is probably the most missed, in my opinion, is the culture element.
Yeah.
Because those are a place where you're coming together and you're fostering that culture. And you're not necessarily creating it. You're not inventing it, but you're fostering it.
Yeah.
To me, that became infinitely more important when COVID happened, when a lot of workplaces became largely remote. And I know, your experience, you work remote, so I'm sure you have a unique experience within healthcare, but most healthcare companies are not remote for the simple reason that they're in-person service businesses. And that's not to say there aren't remote employees, but that's where we saw, every single company I've ever owned has been remote teams. We've had team members in the Philippines. We've had team members in Europe. We've always been remote. And I think that's what forced us to nail these meetings early on, because in a normal, most people that were my age were getting jobs and they're going into these offices where they're crammed into a cubicle and there's 40 people around them and they're forced to create some type of culture, even if it's a bad one, because they're rubbing elbows with these people left and right. We were not affording that experience to our team. So we had to foster that in meetings, even if it was as simple as like, cool, we have our normal meeting cadence. Once a month, we're gonna have a pizza party. Everybody turn on Zoom and, we'll send you a gift card to get some food ordered at your house and let's share our life stories. And different example that probably doesn't apply to a lot of different companies, but yeah, I think those are kind of the three buckets that I've identified. Do you think there's something that belongs but does not fit in one of those buckets?
No, I think you're right. So information dumping, this meeting could have been an email. The role not being clear or what's the agenda for the day is just